Redhead, since you were just a bun in the oven, you've been nothing but good. But your sister... Get back in here, you little brat!
I'm just put this down just in case I break it. It would be kind of prophetic, but no. Okay. I really enjoy the character of Ken the Butcher because I love the juxtaposition of him being this really vicious, dangerous gangster, but also being this exceptionally loving, soft-hearted father. Now, I'm gonna first put my usual disclaimer that being a loving father does not mean you're an effective father or even that you're a good father. Those are different things. There's definitely a set of balance and boundaries and consequences that you need to go through to be effective at fathering. But my premise is that Ken truly loves Mel. And for Mel, he has this soft side that we don't see in almost any other situation except for with his son, Redhead. And you see how the response from Mel is like she is not at all scared of him. He seems like this really scary person, but for Mel, she knows that his bark towards her is worse than his bite. Not so much for others. And so I think that that's really interesting. So we're going to go through a little bit of Ken the Butcher, him being this really vicious gangster, and why he has this soft side to Mel and how he deals with fathering.
You can't silence me, black blood!
The entire reason that they're going after Jack in the first place is because he's a threat to Mel. How you can tell how important someone is to you is to take a look at the hierarchy of what they will and won't do. Ken is willing to do whatever he has to in order to protect Mel. For Ken, the most important thing is his children, especially Mel.
Those in favor of a mutiny, point and say, go to hell.
Go to hell!
Father-daughter talk, now!
And I love that even though Ken has such a hot temper, he has such a difficult time in being able to control his base instincts, even though he is exceptionally upset, he doesn't blow up. He says father-daughter talk, decides to have a speak with her in private to make sure that whatever they share is safe, she's safe. And that amount of self-control is really difficult. What often happens when we're really furiously angry, especially for those of us that are more reactive or lived with really reactive, angry parents, when we get upset and our threshold goes really high, we end up having our limbic system overtake the rest of our mind and our analytical part gets chemically numbed. And so what ends up happening is that we often become explosive. That's unhealthy. What that's teaching our children is that when you get upset enough, you have a right to blow up. What you want to remember is that children are mimics. They're going to do what you do, not what you say. So that's why it's really important. When you're upset, that's when you need to put on your parenting hat. And so good job, Ken, being able to stay calm under pressure, even though he's upset at Mel, and bringing her to a private area to be able to have this discussion where she will be safe and they can have this in the open. And this to Kenny from Zenora, that is definitely like, who is Zenora? Is this Ken's wife? I think that I need to do a little tiny clip just on that. Who is Zenora? What is the relationship? What really happened? That just opens up so many more questions for me. Let me know your thoughts.
A human egg? What are you selling these idiots, huh? There's only ever one human walking around this and that's you!
That's the beauty of it, Ken. I'm lying!
It's so cute. I just love her little like, ha 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 ha, like I'm being so very evil. This is so horrible. The voice that Ken uses when he speaks with Mel is completely different than the voice that he uses when he is running the gang. He has a completely different persona. He wants to get through to Mel and he has a soft spot for her. And that's different than the way that he speaks when he has to run things. We wear different hats in different situations. And the way that you project, that's gonna have a great effect over whether people listen or don't listen to you. With Mel being more on the oppositional side, if he took a really strong-minded, you're gonna listen to me or else attitude, that would actually decrease the chances that Mel would listen to him. So I think it's also a really good strategy. So Ken is definitely doing a great job of daddying in this clip.
All those idiots in town will go crazy about it. We dress it up, destroy it, and then no one will think twice about me being human again. Besides, I'm sick of you cementing all my buddies!
And whose fault is that? Jack saw your nosebleed. Honest mistake. Not much we can do about that.
The way that he handles what happened and what he had to do, also, he does it in such a soft way. She made a mistake, but he right away says that it was an honest mistake and it wasn't her fault. I think that it is really difficult, often, especially when something bad happens, we want to lay blame. One is because it makes us feel less guilty for the things that we have to do. But the other thing is that it then also takes away responsibility from ourselves. He does a good job of saying that in this case, it wasn't your fault, but sometimes I have to do these things. I think that the truth is that Ken wants to protect Mel no matter what and doesn't want to put her in harm's way. And so because of that, he wants to select anyone else for dangerous jobs than those that he loves, which is common. But he's not being really direct and honest, because if he said that to Mel, there is no way that she would expect it. So he tries to give other reasons why he selects other people to be part of contracts instead of her.
Dad, work with me here. Just look it over. If there's any problem at all, I swear I'll never bring it up again.
All this info is legit. The times, locations, the virtue.
Triple checked, sources confirmed, and then silenced.
I also love that Ken takes the time. She's spent all of this effort, and even though he doesn't want to put her in harm's way, he could have just been dismissive to this. You know what? It's not going to work. I don't want to be able to do this. But he takes the time to look over it, to read everything. I love that he puts on his little tiny reading glasses. That's so cute. It's such a dad moment. But he takes the time, he asks her questions and listens to her response. When you are a dismissive parent, when you are too busy for your child, immediately a child will feel like they have to do more. They're not good enough in what they're doing on their own. And that can actually create a lot of self-esteem issues. Remember, the first people that we get our feelings of self-esteem from is from our parental figures. And so in this way, Ken is making her feel listened, validated, and affirmed.
Okay, you win. One condition. You don't leave my side. You pull any stunts like earlier today, and you never see sunlight again.
Okay, it's so cute. I'm just gonna say it. It's just such a cute moment. So here he is. He's got all this gruff voice. He's like threatening her, don't do this. You will never see sunlight again. But then he does the little tiny pinky swear. Like, that's just such a daddy thing to be able to do. It's so cute. And I love that juxtaposition of him being this gruff bad guy, but also being this really sweet, loving dad that wants to protect his little girl no matter what, and they're going to do this together. But also it makes the other person feel like a teammate, feel like they're valid and important. And it's really, even though we want to protect our children, our job as parents is not to protect them from the world, it is to prepare them for the world. And what better way than for Ken to be there with her, to be able to let her spread her wings in a way that he can watch over her. Because if he didn't, there is definitely a chance that Mel would find someone else to be able to do that with, which could be Mud. And Ken definitely would be a better person to make sure that his little girl is protected. And then Ken can be there if things get too rough to make sure that she's safe.
So, things are going pretty smooth, don't you think?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You're, proud of me, right? You know, with everything going according to plan and all? Ken?
Need to make a pit stop. Just need 5 minutes.
So that's a part where he misses. Sometimes we are so engrossed into what we're doing, the world's happening, that when our child is saying, you know what, I need to have this bucket be filled right now, we're not paying attention. And that's just normal. That happens no matter what. But you want to do the best that you can to pay attention to those moments when they arise, because they're really meaningful. And especially for this, that this is Mel's first plan and the first time that she's really part of the gang, it matters so much more. Now again, Ken has this, I'm gonna protect her, and so this is really important and she doesn't know it. And in this case, she wants to get that validation that she's done a good job. You want to be able to hit those as often as possible. They build a ton of self-esteem. And when we're talking about global self-esteem, something that's internal and stable. That's the important self-esteem that will be there when everything else crumbles away, versus a external self-esteem, which is going to be there only when things have happened immediately. Those are the things that are based on our title, our job, and they can come and go.
What happened to don't leave my side?
Plans change! This is what you want, right? To be one of us? A member of the smiling... Here's your chance. Meet me at the stairway. We go up together. Yeah? Wait for me.
And that's a great job. There he is. He's upset, he's frustrated, he's losing his temper, he is allowing his base instincts to take over, and then he catches himself. He pays attention. Oh my goodness, I have to dad. I can't just unleash hell upon my children. I need to make sure that I am controlled and that they are here and know that I'm listening. And so he takes a moment, straightens up, and remembers, I have to do my dad job, and calms himself down. Usually what I would say is to take a moment, take a breath. Definitely, especially with those of us, those that live with us, they're going to see us at our worst times, when we are stressed, when there's lots of things on our mind. And that makes it really easy to sometimes lose our temper, not pay attention to what we're saying and doing. So if you take a moment, remember that you love your children, even if sometimes they might drive you mad. Take a moment and remember that you have a job to do, and that is to be calm under pressure, so that you can teach them to be calm under pressure also. And again, they bring it back to that little pinky swear, that this is us, we're doing this together. And so this job is a bonding moment between father and daughter also, which I really do love. So this virtue is the virtue that, if you see in the photo, this virtue is the one that gave Ken Mel, probably, because you see them together. And so this is one of those loose ends that Ken wants to be able to literally extinguish to be able to keep Mel safe. So you can tell what matters to someone is what you will do in order to protect them. I'm not saying that this is okay, this is not a morality class, but when you're taking a look at what matters to someone, you can take a look at what they would do or would not do in order to protect the things that matter to them. Everyone has a hierarchy of importance. And for Ken, it seems like no matter what, that Mel and keeping her safe is the top of his priority hierarchy.
Do our pinky promises mean nothing to you?
Give me later.
I think that's too cute. One is that when I was talking about the best time for Ken to be there is to be able to catch her, to help get her up. And I think that this scene really exemplifies being a healthy parent in this specific case, is that you want to be there to be able to help your children if they are going to fall and drown. You want to be there to be able to make sure that they don't. But if they can be able to tread water, even if they make mistakes, and they can be able to recover, it's really healthy for them. But here is Ken literally catching Mel as she falls. And then in a very soft tone, in a way that shows, instead of anger, which for Mel, it wouldn't work well for her personality type, but that feeling of hurt, saying, do our pinky promises mean nothing to you? Which is about building trust. And Mel acknowledges it, but then says, come on, let's not do this right now, right here.
I'm invincible! Me! A member of the Smiling Dead!
I'll make sure you never end up like one of us.
And I think that that's a lot of parental fears. When there's someone that we care about so much and we've made mistakes, we often want to protect them so much from making the same mistakes, ending up the same way that we do. And in a lot of ways, Ken parallels a lot of regular parental fears. But sometimes that makes us overprotective. Though overprotection, you would say, well, wouldn't you always want to make sure that you protect your child from all kinds of danger? But the problem with that is that they're not learning resiliency. They're not learning how the world works. If you do all of the protecting for them, how do they learn to protect themselves. So you want them to experience the world, to be able to become street smart, to be able to know how high they can jump, how far they can run, how fast they can deal with things, and what are the consequences to their actions. That will actually keep them safe. But it is a really difficult thing for parents to do. I often am helping parents try to allow their children to experience the world so that the parental anxiety does not stop the child from growing, because it ends up, one, stunting their own development and growth, and two, can cause a ton of anxiety in the child, because often the child will interpret this overprotectiveness to actually mean, you don't trust me, I mustn't be good enough. And because of that, the child doesn't trust themselves either. And that can lower their own self-esteem and make them make bad choices or overdo it to try to prove to the parent that they're good enough, they're strong enough. And in the first place, that wasn't what the parent was thinking. We often interpret the world of what other people do through the facets of our own fears.
As we will bathe this spike in your black blood time and time again, for you are the one thing to threaten our gift of eternal life.
So in this case, Ken is he's putting on a show for everyone that is there, but him talking about this black blood and how it threatens their existence, we have to be really careful with what parents are casually saying. Children are always listening, and they will often be listening to what you say and interpret it to mean how you feel about me. And you can tell that in this scene, Mel is interpreting what he's saying as, you don't like me, you don't trust me, you don't accept me. And that can be really hurtful. A really safe thing to do would be to always reflect that what we're saying to someone else may go to the ears of the person that we are speaking about or someone similar to them. So be really careful. These kind of words can hurt and hurt deeply and can be something that will replay in a child's head all the way through to adulthood. So much so that perhaps in 10 years, when Mel says, Ken, Dad, why did you say these things about me? He might not even remember that he said them. But for Mel, it was really meaningful and really hurtful. So remember, the things that you say hurt. And though sticks and stones may not break bones, they really can hurt us. And so this is a little bit of the psychology of Ken and his skills as a father. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The entire reason that I started this channel was in the hopes that I could reach more people and help those that I couldn't reach due to prices, availability, and my own private practice. I wanted to find a fun way, something that I would enjoy and that I thought that other people would enjoy that might be shy or not feel comfortable with therapy. And I hope that these videos would make people more comfortable with the idea of helping themselves in whichever way worked for them. Anxiety is something that sucks away your day's happiness, where your entire thought process is filled with dread and negativity. And that is why I designed my course on Nebula on how to beat anxiety, to help educate and help people be able to learn and cope with their own anxiety. I go through direct, simple, straightforward steps, concrete ways of dealing with anxiety and what is anxiety. I also help people understand why they have anxiety and why it might be affecting you. I also have my compilation videos as well as my videos on Arcane, The Boys, Stranger Things, Vox Machina, The Last of Us, Has Been Hotel, Amazing Digital Circus, Murder Drones, and Hell of a Boss, as well as my course on how to beat anxiety. This is all on Nebula, and you can get exclusive originals. The Getaway, I'm on it, Real Science Archaeology Quest, and trying to make sense of the X-Men cinematic universe, which we all need. There are over 200 creators on Nebula, so there is a ton of original content that you can get nowhere else than on Nebula. You also have access to guest passes, so you see someone that's dealing with anxiety, you can send them my course so they can take a look at it and feel better today. And this is all ad-free, sponsor-free, so if you hate ads, like this one, you can sign up using mine exclusive link below. And you can get an annual plan of Nebula for 40% off, $36 a year, just by clicking on the link. And clicking on the link really does help out my channel, so thank you to everyone that does that. And that's all early access, all extended versions, all the courses, originals from Nebula creators, just by clicking on the link below. So thank you so much to Nebula for your support, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.